Sorry, Miss Applegrove.
Okay.
What if it says, all right.
We need to know, for you guys, you're going to be asked on your Chapter 8 test to solve a right triangle. And if you don't know what that means, it's going to be really, really confusing. So we're going to write that definition down right now.
Can I have these?
Rudy.
No.
Batteries?
No.
I'll
So we're solving a right triangle. That means you need to figure out what the angle measures all are and what the sides all are. So underneath angles, let's put add to 180 degrees. We're going to use that property of triangles to help us find all the angles. If they give us 2 angles, we are in good shape. If they give us no angles, we're kind of in trouble. But I'm going to show you what to do if they don't give you any angles. The beautiful part of this is that if it's a right angle, you automatically have one of the angles already. All right, so sometimes they're going to give us the sides and only that 90-degree angle. And we are going to tackle it by using our calculator. Our calculator can work backwards. You give the calculator the fraction, and it'll find the angle that is either tangent, cosine, or sine that makes that fraction. So we're going to go backwards. Here, on the previous page, we had the angle and we were looking for this side. This page, we have 2 sides and we're going to be looking for the angle. So this is all it is calculator shenanigans. Ethan.
Can I go to the bathroom?
No.
Yeah, she's got a prank.
Inverse trig functions we use when we know the sides, but the angles are not known. So we use inverse trig. On your calculator, the inverse trig looks like sine, cosine, and tan with the little -1. And we will usually have to push that second button and the sine button to get inverse sine. The second button and the cosine to get inverse cosine. I think most of your calculators will have you have a second button and roll out like this. If you have a calculator that doesn't, it's not clear, we're going to rock through these problems and I'll help you find that on your calculator. Okay, so example 4. Let me show, I know it looks crazy. Tangent of angle A is equal to 7/10. So what we're going to do is in our calculator, we're going to put tangent, so second and tangent, and then we're going to put in 7 divided by 10. And now we got to see what angle comes out of this.
34.9 degrees.
Ethan got 34.9. Did everybody else get 34.9?
Yep.
I feel like
7 divided by 10.
Did you just put 0.7 if you wanted to? Did you get that, Joseph? If you wanted to, could you?
Joseph.
0.7? What did you get?
I think I'm in.
I got 7.
I got 7.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Whoa!
I died.
I thought that was wrong.
So round to 35%. All right, so in the next one, in your calculator, you're going to put, so we need to find angle B. So in your calculator, you're going to put sine inverse 0.9.
Wait, what's
Sine
the inverse?
inverse 0.9.
64.9. What's
And find the angle.
Wait, Miss Apple's come over here, please. What are we doing?
Put that in your calculator.
What? This?
This has to have the little -1, so it's right there.
This one?
Nope, see how the little -1 is right there in the purple?
This one?
But you have to go second and that button to get there. Now you're correct.
Nice.
All right. What did we get, guys?
Oh, I didn't even do it.
Yes.
64.2.
Wait.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rounded to. Okay. We're going to try this tangent. So when you see a tangent and the angle is a letter, we don't know that angle, we're going to use inverse tangent to find it. So tangent of C is 5.4. So in our calculator, we're going to go inverse tangent of 5.4. You guys should be getting the hang of how to use your calculator to
I
find
don't know how
it.
to do the inverse thing on there.
You hit second double.
79.5.
That's what I did, but it came up with final.
We'll do it right.
All right, so when we inverse cosine of 0.1, we get 84.3. Okay, so let's see how we use this to solve these two triangles. So we have, this side is 2, this side is 3, and I don't know the hypotenuse. Brianna, which operation from this chapter can I use to find my hypotenuse? Even before that, before we even picked up trigonometry. Yeah. What do you think, Rudy? Pythagorean theorems. So it's a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So that's 4 plus 9 equals c squared. 4 and 9 is 13. So c is the square root of 13. I would like to avoid using the square root of 13 in my trigonometry calculations because it's ugly and we're not going to use it. So I'm going to, it doesn't matter, Brandon, A or B. Pick one, 50-50. A. So we are going to find angle A first. We don't know it. So in solving the triangle, we found side C, this one here. Now we need to find angle A and angle B. So we look at 2 and Jenna R. Is 2 opposite hypotenuse or adjacent to angle A? 2 the hypotenuse? Is it the opposite side of angle A or is it the adjacent side? It is the opposite side is the one that doesn't touch angle A. Because it runs right into angle A, so it's right next to it. So it's adjacent. And then Aaron, 3, is it the hypotenuse or the opposite of angle A? It is the opposite. Square root of 13 is the hypotenuse. We're not going to use it. So looking at your trig functions, so top, COA. Look at the letters, Anthony. What letter does hypotenuse start with? It starts with what?
Is it 13?
No, what letter does the word hypotenuse start with?
H.
H. Which one of these, so, ka, or toa, does not have H?
On toes.
Yeah. Toa doesn't have the H. I can use the H, I don't want to because it's square root of 13 and it's ugly. So in this case, I'm going to use tan.
So,
Brandon, which angle did we use?
A.
A. So tangent of A is the opposite over the adjacent side. Opposite is 3, adjacent is 2. We just did 3 of these calculations. Rudy, how am I going to solve for angle A?
Yeah, Rudy.
I'll give you a hint. Just like these.
Oh, in whatever it's called.
Yeah, you're using the inverse.
Inverse from
3, and then you go divided by. Go ahead and do that in your calculator, everybody, and tell me. And find our last angle. This one is 56.3. And so we're missing angle B. So angle B is equal to 180 minus the 90 degrees from angle C minus the 56.3 from angle A. So angle B is what's left after we subtract out angle C and angle A. So we've got 180 minus 90, which is 90, minus 56.3.
34.7.
So our last angle that we're missing is 33.7. And once we have that, we have solved this triangle.
Wow.
Okay, we're going to do the same thing to example B. Thankfully, example B does not have a missing angle. All right, Jose,
what?
how are we going to find angle G? Because I'm going to circle the stuff that we're missing. Angle G,
Oh, that angle.
we're missing side H and side little g.
Yeah.
So Jose, how are we going to find that missing angle G? That's actually the easiest thing to find, so how are we going to do it? How did we find missing angle B in the previous problem? We found this angle B. By
What?
we found angle B.
By subtracting. Right?
We use subtraction, but where does everything come from?
Angle.
Where does 180 come from?
From all the angles being together, I don't know.
All the angles in a triangle add up to equal
180.
180. Okay, so how are we going to find our missing angle G? How are we going to find this missing angle?
Oh, subtract or add 90.
Okay, so add 90 is 25.
There you go.
I thought it was. And you said no.
Okay, and what do we get when we do that? Okay. 90 plus 25.
105.
Okay, and then what do we do with that number?
Oh. What?
So I know angle G is at 115.
Oh, you subtract it.
Yeah.
From 180.
Yeah.
Good.
You subtract it from 180. Awesome.
I'm not.
That's good.
So 180 minus 115 is 65. So that's angle G. So now I have all three angles. I know one angle is 90, the other angle is 25, and the missing angle is 65. So we have all of our angles. Now we need to work to find all of our sides. So let's, Josh, completely your pick, little g or h?
Little G.
Little g, okay. So we're going to go after little g and Braden. Braden, when we solve a classic equation, we can only have one letter that we don't know. Okay? So, Josh has told us we're going to let G be the little one we don't know. What's the only other side we know? The one that has a number on it.
13.
Do you see where the 13 is?
Yeah.
Is it the length of that side? Right here?
Yes, no, maybe.
It's not an angle. It's in the middle of the line near the triangle. So it's 13 is the side we know. So we're going to use 13 and G. I'm not letting you off the hook yet, Brandon. Okay, your choices are opposite, adjacent, and hypotenuse. What is 13? Actually, let's go like this. Sorry, Hunter, which letter are we going to use, G or H? Big G or little? Big G or big H? Okay. So Hunter says, Brayden, Hunter says we are going to go from the 25 degrees. So H. So that 13, is it the opposite, the adjacent, or the hypotenuse? You have a 1 in 3 chance of winning. Opposite, adjacent. Okay, ask yourself this. Is it across from, don't listen to anything else they say, and they're going to shut you because they're distracting you and not being good. Is it across from the 90-degree angle? Does it at all run into the 90-degree angle?
I missed a prior.
Okay, perfect. It's not for any of you.
You.
It's not for me either. Okay,
For
put your pencil on the 90-degree angle, Brayden.
Is it for Joseph?
It is not for anybody in this class.
For Mr. Mitchell.
Is it
It's
for
not for you.
Is it for D-Love?
Okay.
Joseph.
You want to sit right here? I gotta
Nah.
see real close.
Buddy, she's looking right at you.
I didn't say anything.
Then continue not saying anything.
Some of us are actually trying to learn already.
So across from the 90-degree angle. So across from the 90-degree angle. Does this line, if I were to go on, does it ever touch the 90-degree angle? No. So it's got to be the hypotenuse. So that's your test. So 13 is the hypotenuse. All right, Miss Jenna I. Baby G. Baby G up there on the top. Is it the opposite or the adjacent to angle H? Does it run into angle H or is it across from angle H? It's adjacent. All right, Jamie, you ready for this? This is the hard one. Okay. So we have the adjacent side and the hypotenuse. Which trigonometry, sine, cosine, or tangent, 1 in 3 chance, which trigonometry goes with adjacent and hypotenuse? A and H. I don't know how many times I have to write SOHCAHTOA on my paper, but if you count, I have it there.
Oh, nice.
I have it there. I have it here. So I've written it 3 times. If you don't write it each time you do a trig problem, make sure you're doing that. So out of SOHCAHTOA, which one is the adjacent and the hypotenuse? There.
Oh, that's a good one.
Adjacent and hypotenuse.
Like a new man.
So, ka, or toa? Which one's adjacent and hypotenuse?
Well, I don't care enough.
Adjacent and hypotenuse is A for adjacent, H for hypotenuse. A for adjacent, H for hypotenuse. A for adjacent, H for hypotenuse. So it's cosine. See how that comes together? So if you have adjacent and hypotenuse, A and H is what you're looking for. The first letter tells you what trig function it is, sine, cosine, or tangent. Okay? So we're going to use cosine. Our angle is 25 degrees. It's this guy right here. And the adjacent side is G. And the hypotenuse is 13. Joe, what's step number 2 so we can find our baby G? Not yet, not yet. You got to put the, yes. Put the 1 underneath cosine of 25.
I didn't copy it.
Ash, welcome back. When we have 2 fractions, we are going to cross multiply the heck out of them. We actually love to do that.
I went last night.
We do?
So we get G times 1.
I know. I have.
You are closer to the microphone than I am, so your voice is recording. I would like you to be quiet so that it doesn't record your voice.
I'm sorry.
And 13 times cosine of 25. Whenever you have to make the decision of how you're going to put this in the calculator, always put the number that's not buddied up to the trig first. So I'm going to put the 13, then cosine of 25. Because once you put the trig on it, they're stuck together. It's like super glue. It's like Gorilla Glue. It doesn't come apart. All right. Now do that in your calculator, baby G. And out there, can you do that in your calculator for me? Baby G is 13 times cosine of 25 degrees. Do that on your calculator. And round it to the nearest 10th. So 1 decimal. 13 times cosine of 25. Just write it on your paper. There's no need to discuss it with your neighbor. $11.7. Thank you. We'll keep it at 11.7. So it's approximately equal to 11.7. So baby G is 11.7. And now we're missing baby H. So what's that thing that we use when we have a right triangle and we want to find one of the three sides and we know two of them but don't know the other one? We did it at the very beginning of this chapter. Some kind of theorem. Right at the very beginning of this chapter. Yeah, Pythagorean theorem. So when we look at this triangle, the only thing we're missing now is baby H. And we're going to use the Pythagorean theorem to find it. So Devin, get your calculator ready. This will be your task. So we're going to have a squared. So let's call this A. B will be H. And C is the hypotenuse. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. So we're going to have, I'm just going to give myself a little room here. We're going to have 11.7 squared plus H squared equals 13 squared. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. It's back to the Pythagorean theorem. So this kind of puts everything all together. And 11.7 squared is what then? No roundies, just give it to me straight.
Okay, 136.
136.59 plus H squared equals 13 squared, and I know what 13 squared is. It's 169.
So 8, 9.
Okay, so this is an 8.
I ran out of space.
Okay. To find out what H squared is, we need to subtract 136.89 from both sides. So Nate, you're going to do that on your calculator for me. 169 minus 136.89. 169.
32 bonus.
Okay. Dylan, you're going to take it home for us and find the solution. You're going to square root 32.11. Square root. Should be somewhere between 5 and 6.
5.65.
Okay, so that was our missing side. So we found our missing angle was 65 degrees. Our baby G is 11.7. And our baby H, using the Pythagorean theorem, is 5.6. And we solve the triangle. I don't want to do more early. Okay. Turn the page. Turn the page. We're going to go angle of elevation and angle of depression. Remember, we're going to roll this into
We're doing 2 sections today?
8-4.
So we're on page 26.
Page 26 in your packet.
Oh, that actually. So back then, it was that? Oh, yeah.
Okay, so you don't have to have a chit chat about it. I promise you. It's all the same for everybody. Angle of elevation. Not only do you have to draw or write the definition, but also draw the picture. Make sure your picture matches the picture that's here. Angle of elevation is the angle formed from a horizontal up. So it's like your eyeball is at the horizon and you're elevating your look up. So it's from the horizon up. Because angle of depression is like being on a cliff. And it's the angle formed from what you're looking at down. Also, you can be on an airplane or anything from above what you're looking at. So angle of elevation is the angle formed from a horizontal up. And the angle of depression is the angle formed from a horizontal down. Okay, and you guys definitely want to draw the picture. Okay. Here's our Christmas tree problem. We are 15 feet from the base of our little tree that we're going to chop down.
Oh, you're...
We are 15 feet from the tree. So you guys have a little stick man on here. So draw a line from the stick man to the tree. We're going to have the best Christmas ever. Chop down that tree. The angle of elevation from the ground to the top of the tree, right here, is 40 degrees. You want to know if the tree is going to fit in your living room. Your ceiling is 12 feet high. We need to know, is the height of our tree less than 12 feet? So I'm going to call that H, because it's the height of our tree. You can call it T if you would like to call it a T for tree. You can call it H for height. We want to find the height. Please, at the top of, or near this problem somewhere, write SOHCAHTOA. So we're going to use it. Okay. So our angle, the only angle they give us aside from the 90 is this 40. So we have to use this 40 degrees as our reference angle. We have to start from that 40 degrees. So from the 40 degrees, Freddie, this line here where 15 is it the adjacent, the opposite, or the hypotenuse? The 15 feet. Is that side adjacent to 40, opposite 40, or the hypotenuse?
I don't know.
Okay, so on your paper, if you guys don't know, you guys have to write this definition down. Opposite is across from. It does not touch the angle.
It's
The
adjacent
opposite is across
because it's
from
touching.
that line. It doesn't touch the angle. Put your finger on this line.
This one?
Yes, put your finger on this line. See. Now, does this line at all touch the 40-degree angle? Put your finger on it.
Yeah.
Yes. So is it opposite our angle?
No.
Is this the opposite side? The opposite side is across from our angle and it doesn't touch the angle.
No.
It cannot be the opposite side. Adjacent side. It runs into our angle. And it's not the hypotenuse. Freddie, does that line run into our 40-degree angle? Put your finger on it.
Yes.
On the line. No, put it on the line. Right in the middle of the line. Right in the middle of the line. La línea. See. Now does it run into, go towards the angle? The angle's 40 degrees, it's right here.
Oh.
Put it towards the 40 degrees. Does it run into the angle?
Yeah.
Yes. So this line runs into our 40-degree angle. If we follow it all the way to the left, it'll run right into 40 degrees. Now we have to decide, is it the hypotenuse? Ethan, is that 15 feet side our hypotenuse?
It is not,
Why?
because it is not the biggest side.
It's not the biggest side. This guy is. So this one has to be adjacent. So right next to the 15, right adjacent. And Brandon, the side where I put the H, or the height of the tree, what side is that? It's opposite. So put O-E-P next to the H. So we have information about the adjacent side, and we want to know the opposite side. Adjacent and opposite. Jenna, which trig function has A for adjacent and O for opposite? TOA. It has A for adjacent and O for opposite. So we're going to use tan. Brianna, what's our angle? 40 degrees. We can't use the 90 because we will never have a problem like this where the 90 degrees is our angle. We just won't. That will never happen. So tangent of 40 degrees is the opposite side, H, over the adjacent side, 15. Hyper, what happens next? What's the next step after we get our trig laid down? Susan? Yeah, so we do the divide by 1. We're going to go tan 40. We're going to put it divided by 1. And Jose, what do we do with those?
Cross multiply.
Cross multiply. We love having to do that. It's our favorite thing ever. I'm going to stop playing video games and just do cross multiply.
49.
I hate my dad.
So H times 1 is H. And then we get 15 times tan of 40. Yeah, you guys can do this now in your calculator. Rudy, tell me what you get when you multiply 14 times tan of 40. Yeah, we got you. 16 times the tan of 40.
I got 1.73.
0.6.
What?
That's all fast. It's
Okay.
What did I do wrong?
So 15.
You do 15 times the tan of 30? Oh, I think I did 10 times tan of
6
40
if we're
times 15.
rounding.
Yeah, you're right. Never mind. I did the tan of 40 times 15.
So now tell me, is that tree gonna fit in our house?
No way, Jose.
No.
What?
Put a hole in
I'm not gonna fit in the house.
Wait, it's only 12 feet. That's it.
You put a hole in the side so the tree doesn't
Wait,
All right, this is my favorite one.
I
This is my first.
I was gonna shoot the.
Hey,
Oh, you
that's
guys
not
better
fair.
draw this picture.
Oh, no.
Yo, is that Chris Kyle?
Okay. Some of you guys are
I cannot hear anything you're saying.
not old enough to remember
Yo.
the best
Chris Kyle in the donuts.
movie by one Tom Cruise. One Tom Cruise. Anyway, there's a we're gonna snipe this little unicorn right here. He is positioned on the edge of a cliff. So this is an example of angle of depression. So he is looking down. So we're going to draw a line here. It's going to meet our unicorn and So our angle of depression is 24 degrees. The height of our cliff, so at the top to the bottom, is 30 degrees. I'm sorry, it's 30 feet. It is night and the target can only patrol by infrared with a radius of 70 feet. Is the sniper clear? So we want to see if this hypotenuse is going to be less than 70 feet. If it's more than 70 feet, then we can't use it. We can't shoot. We won't be able to see it. Okay. So we have Anthony. We have to use 24. It's the only angle they give us. Is this 30 feet? Is this the opposite side, adjacent side, or hypotenuse?
Opposite.
Uh-huh. It is across from this 24 degrees, and it doesn't, none of it ever, if you go on forever, it never runs into our angle. And then Josh, this H right here, is it the adjacent or the hypotenuse?
Adjacent.
It's across from our 90 degrees, so it has to be our hypotenuse. All right, next. We have the opposite side, and we want the hypotenuse. Which trig function has an O and an H in it? Yeah, so it has the O and the H. So that sine is the opposite over hypotenuse. So we're going to go sine of our angle is 30 degrees over H, because we don't know how far we are away from our little uniform. Okay. Graded. What's our next step here for solving this equation?
Cross multiply.
Nope.
Yeah, 12.2.
You told me the wrong one.
Graded. That's why you don't listen to those chuckleheads. You look at what we did at the problem before and you know it for sure. You look at what we did on the problem before and you know it for sure. What's in blue right here? What is in blue right here? Yeah. The reason I put it in a different color is because it should not blend in. It's its own step. So once we lay down our trig, before we cross multiply, we put a always 1. Okay? You want to look? The problem before. When we had this one, I put it in a different color to show that it's its own step. Always put 1 over your trig.
Put it straight up and down.
Rudy. That's enough with that. Put that away. I don't want to see it again during this class. I know, but you've done enough. You don't give yourself eye drops every 2 seconds. I don't want to hear it. I'm done. Okay. So Braden, what was our step again? Yeah, put a 1 underneath it. Okay? Now we're all ready, Hunter, to do what? Cross multiply. 30 times 1 is 30. H times the sine of 24, yeah, that's not going to happen in my calculator.
It's going to happen in Anthony's calculator.
Nope. Not even. Jenna, how do we solve for H? How do we get rid of that sine of 24? Okay, what's the opposite of multiplying? Dividing. What's going on between the H and the sine of 24 is multiplying. So the opposite of that is divide. So to solve for H, we're going to divide both sides by sine of 24?
73.
And in your calculator, you're going to put 30 divided by sine of 24. In your calculator, 30 divided by sine of 24.
He's not clear.
Oh, you got a calculator? Give it back.
Give me it back.
So the only difference is, instead of putting the sign first, you'll type in the difference.
Yeah.
You go. Divided by. And then instead of putting 24 in second, you're going to I still got it.
You're zero.
Wasn't that? What? What's your... What? I'm just saying,
What'd you guys get?
73.7.
73.8. 73.7.
I'll fuss with your calculator in a second.
That means he ain't cleared
I
5.
got 0.5.
You did 3.
Yes, sir. 0.01.
73.8. So our little unicorn is safe because you have to be under 70 feet or below to. All right. So what I want you guys to do